Give me a second, it's being weird. I don't know what's making me do it like this, but...
Those birds are so...
Where'd you get the birds, bro?
How are you?
Hello there.
If you guys can share the live, that would be great.
Why are you rotating the phone?
Might help if I turn my volume up.
You're sideways, bro.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear the nature channel? You know, the nature sounds in the background?
Yeah, I said, where'd you get the birds? Like 6 times.
I just dropped some YouTube. I bought a huge amount of birds and just for this event. You know what I mean? Hi, Ash. Hi, Nelson.
I think someone's going to be missing those birds, don't you think?
No, I'm going to turn it off when you guys... When we start up. Is Larry...
It's not very dialectic of you.
Can someone hit up Larry? I forgot to hit him up. I can message him up too.
We just forgot, like, one of the main guys.
I mean, I messaged here. He might be busy around.
Bro, you want to know what's crazy? Because the power went out, all my notes are gone.
We're definitely going to be winging it. No pun intended.
Don't we always?
The scent.
We actually do quite a bit of prep work. Let's not make these people think that we're...
You just don't want to make it seem like anybody can pop on here and do
like
it.
we don't do 2 meetings for this. I just messaged Larry, go, hey, if you have time, this show's going on. He's responding. Let's see what he says.
My power went out too, so I also do not have money.
Okay. So this show might end at any point. Okay. Okay. Larry's on his way. Hi, Hells. How are you doing? Don't go wild in the 90s. That's very true.
Running in the 90s?
Running wild in the 90s.
Today we're talking about dialectical materialism. I gotta be real though. When you said diamap the other day, I was like, what the hell is that, bro? I've never heard that before. And I can admit my
ignorance. It's so exhausting to say dialectical materialism every time, bro.
Is that a commonly used, like, abbreviation or whatever?
Yeah, diamap. I have not seen an abbreviation for this. But I think that's
like Ash said, please send it to 100% or 100 of your closest friends and enemies. Because if they're my enemies, they're already blocked.
Hello.
So everybody else will know.
Send it to the Cracker Brigade. You guys know who those are?
Yep, tag them up. Oh, all right. The nature sounds. We can start at any time.
Hi, everybody.
In the background. Is that an okay background?
Is Ms. Lumpy in the chat? Can you post this to Twitter?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Time to spam the homies.
You wanna?
Nobody knows what that means.
I know, that's hella inside. Now it's share it with your friends. Now it's come on. Don't be a
the conversation was inspired this in the first place, right? And it's almost certain that one thing will have gotten it better.
Bro, you're mad quiet.
It sounds like you're summoning the wind.
Yeah, I think it's because it's like there's wind.
Yeah, you're summoning the wind for sure. I can hear.
Not me, bro. I'm not the wind.
I know that's not your fault.
Are you saying wind is an air conditioner or actual wind?
The wind is somebody else's, is what I'm saying.
Oh. It's not me.
Well, I just turned off the AC. R.I.P.
Let's just play the blame game for like 5 minutes till Larry gets here. Oh, here
But it's not very dialectical.
Super dialect.
See, there's a contradiction
Material.
between you guys hearing me and the loudness of Cruz's background.
Yeah, it's all you, Cruz. I
Larry
just turned
just
all my
waited
shit.
so
My
that
house is silent.
Larry just waited so his box could be on top. It's a form of dominance.
Bro, you were frozen for so long.
Larry
Like,
always on top.
what doing?
I'm sorry, I've got a horrible cough today, so if I sound like a fucking I'm dying, what's because I am.
You sound fine. You know that people, the Larryists, won't be here if you're not here, so it's okay. Is everybody good? Good to go?
Good.
Yes?
I think so.
All right. I gotta wait for Cutie because he's starting this off. He's kicking off the party. Cutie, you're muted. Let me know when you're ready, bro. How's everybody's day going in the comments and in the box?
I woke up 4 hours ago.
Nice.
I also woke up 4 hours ago.
It's pretty cool.
The audio sounding bad? Audio on my end or audio on the guest's end?
Okie dokie.
That sounds better. There's a little bit of a white noise, but it's not terrible.
Is it me?
Why do I feel like maintenance is gonna pop up? Be right back.
They're saying it's you, big dog.
Me? Oh,
Cutie.
cutie. I wish I could do it through my. It'd be way better than my phone.
I think we technically could, but it's a bit more of a process.
Okay, do you still hear the buzzing?
No, you sound much better.
Okay.
How could I forget the best part?
That's the best part.
Whenever I'm ready to discuss dialectical materialism, I like to wash all this knowledge down with a delicious Wolf Cola. Kollectiv.
Whoa!
Sponsored by Wolf Cola.
Show us the Wolf Cola, Evan.
Here's the Wolf Cola.
Does it say Wolf Cola?
Yeah, it says where my hand is definitely not covering it. It says Wolf Cola.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the design is secret. I gotta wait for the art people to do their bullshit, so we can push Wolf Cola. Definitely not strawberry zero sugar Dr Pepper. Your way, comrade.
I enjoyed a Dr. Pepper.
You mean Wolf Cola?
Yes. Dr. Cola.
Where's our boss?
I am Hamas.
That's not okay. Cruz Hamas confirmed.
I'm back.
That'll be a good. That's gonna be a good clip. I'm gonna want to make something.
I have maintenance coming to fix something, so I might be muting. But Cruz is the host in my set if I have to mute again. So we're going to talk about dialectical materialism. Rudy, do you want to do us the pleasure of going over definitions and meaning the definition, the meaning of dialectical materialism and its origin and history? Por favor, my friend.
No.
Well, too bad. You already signed up for it.
Yeah. So, you were saying, I don't know what the hell that means.
You're underground, bro.
Lost you.
What the hell is going on?
what fucking noises do you guys have?
So,
Jesus Christ.
my computer
It's literally not me. That's the noise.
Not
Just start the show, bro.
Well, brother, you were saying you can't hear me, man. I don't know.
Whose Windows 98 was that?
Look at all the comments, bro. Cutie's in the sink. Cutie's loading, having a bird bath. Oh, he left.
Did we bully him out? He better come back. He
Yeah,
has
he's
to
coming back.
He can't come without him, dude.
That was
coming
my
back.
old Mac. That is my temporary computer until I can get
Alright.
a proper computer.
I invited
This
you.
second headphone is bothering me. We're not doing that.
All right, Cutie.
Let's see if it fixed it.
I'm gonna mute. Bayless, you're gonna need to calm down. We haven't even started.
Typical mouse. All right, Cutie, let's cook.
Okay. Can you hear me, gang?
Yeah, you sound good. Here's with the facts.
So it is not me that is the sink. To clarify.
If anyone, whoever's not talking, just mute up. We'll do that.
We're moving
All
forward.
right, there you go, Princess. Hit it.
Okay, so we're talking about. Do you want definition first? Do you want history?
Give a definition first, because some people don't know what it means. We never know where people's education is at. So, if you could do that, thank you.
So the most base way of defining, dialectical materialism is just that everything, literally everything, every material object, there are internal and external contradictions, meaning that there are multiple forces and events and so on that push against each other that result in a change, right? There's no such thing as a status quo. There's no such thing as a definitive end point. There's no there is no staying still. You know what I mean? Everything is pushing against itself. There's always something moving against another object or another thing that is resulting in that thing being moved. It's low key. It's just physics. You know what I mean? Now. From there, you get historical materialism, which is using dialectical materialism to analyze, the material world and history. And this is where we get, the understanding of class conflict, that there's consistently, multiple classes, one or more, two or more that are pushing against each other and, moving through history together or, trying to destroy each other or working together or whatever to get to whatever stage that we're at. So in this circumstance, it's for us, for Marxists, it's the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, the workers and the capitalists or owners, the non-owners versus the owners. And that is throughout history there's always going to be some sort of progression towards a low-key and unknown end stage. We think it's probably communism, but we don't know what comes in after that. You know what I mean? But that would be I think the base definition that I can give you.
A++.
The history behind it, we can go all the way back to the Greek philosophers about talking about dialectics. But probably the main person that you want to go to is, Hegel and Fichte. There's Hegel and immanent critique and all that shit, which is far too complicated to really explain very, very easily. I don't really fully understand it to begin with either. But the base thing from Fichte at least is synthesis or thesis, antithesis, synthesis. It's not exactly the true method of dialectical materialism, but it's a pretty easy distillation of what it is. You have what is the thing that's going against that, and then you have whatever comes out after that. So that's thesis, antithesis, synthesis. And then that thing goes on and on and on and on. So that comes from Fichte. It was I think he's a German philosopher, Hegel, a German philosopher, and it all goes into Marx. The German philosophers at the time were idealists. Ivan's going to talk about that and the difference between that and materialists. But Marx primarily changed it up and wanted to take a more material approach, looking at the world around him. And you get all the way up till today. But Marx is really the main guy that you're going to be looking at for the development of dialectical materialism. Obviously, also Engels, but
Thank you for that explanation. Ivan, how are you doing today, King?
The king is well. The king is slightly annoyed because the king lives out in the boonies and the power went out, so my notes are gone. So the king is gonna wing it.
That's
But
okay.
obviously, the king can never be wrong, so I'm just gonna
Right.
go off rip here. That is sarcasm, by the way.
So, Mike, can you do us the grand favor of contrasting dialectical materialism with other forms of philosophical thought?
Sure. So kind of like piggybacking off the end of what Cutie was saying there. Yes, dialectical materialism is what we could say is the philosophy of Marxism, and it primarily stems from Hegelian dialectics, which Cutie was saying is a little bit more complicated than we can get into right now, and materialism. So materialism being what exists in the physical world. So anything from a rubber ball to a factory to a nation, things that exist in concrete reality, as opposed to idealism. So idealism, which is the main, I'm going to come out here and say is the main, I'm using a little bit of conjecture, so bear with me, the main antagonistic force or contradiction against dialectical materialism. Yes, dialectical materialism deals with contradictions within itself, but in this compare contrast situation, this is what I'm saying. So idealism is rooted in the idea that the conscious thought and what's the word I'm looking for? Metaphysical aspects of what human can conjure up is what dictates reality, as opposed to materialism, where you have to have an actual thing to exist to make material reality. Now, what the hell am I saying? Okay, so the way I had it written in my notes was basically this, in a very simplified version. Dialectical, or materialism specifically, is if we had a soccer ball and we kick a soccer ball and it breaks a window. That materially has happened. That has occurred in the world. There was a contradiction between the ball and the glass, resulted in the glass exploding. Idealism is the conscious idea of kicking the ball into the window. You cannot think your way into a window being shattered by a ball. It has to actually occur in reality. That's why Cutie was saying before, it's basic physics. Now, or it's basically physics. Now, so if we took this concept of materialism versus idealism and apply it to politics and socioeconomic situations that are existing today in capitalism. So the example I had is we know as communists, and I imagine baby communists here, baby leftists, whatever. We know that minority people within the United States, black and brown people, are, if you just look at the quote unquote stats, you see these people are scoring lower on tests and they're not getting into college as much as white people, or living in why is there more crime associated with certain groups of people? Why do black and brown people live in mostly urban areas? Dialectical materialism tells us that the reason why this occurs is because of real life economic and political policies that have been implemented to enable this to happen. Things such as redlining, broadly systemic racism, underfunding of schools, the construction of food deserts. This is what leads certain individual groups of people to end up living in certain situations, right? We as communists understand that because we looked at it dialectically. An idealist, in this case, somebody who is a reactionary, would simply see that situation and believe that, oh, these people are just in that situation because they don't pick themselves up by their own bootstraps. That is idealist. It is not based in reality. It is simply based in somebody's own conscious thought, and they believe, whether consciously or not, that this this thought is basically dictating reality, as opposed to real life conditions that make up reality. That is dialectical materialism versus idealism. Now, when it comes to, I don't know if you're going to ask me, Ariel, but when it comes to like sort of what we're doing with like within the modern day, as Marxists, we have to understand that dialectical materialism is still the main vehicle we need to use in order to operate within the world. This is how communists analyze literally the world, and the political structure and the stability of their nations. Also, to sort of determine when it is time to move forward with revolutionary struggle. For example, communists in the United States, myself included, if we use dialectical materialism, if we look at the world, what's happening now, we know that the number one thing we can do is be anti-war. If we oppose war that the United States can make, we are opposing empire, which weakens the empire, which gives us a better and clearer advantage to get the workers of this country and to be on our side. An idealist, and a communist can be idealist, we're all capable of being idealists, would not look at the current economic situation of the states and say something crazy like, oh, we can just go to Montana and start a protracted people's war, or we can just vote our way out of fascism. Those are idealists. They're simply based in thought. They're not based in concrete, hard evidence. Because the way that this concept, dialectical materialism, is structured, it's structured in a way where it, which is why Marxists say it's a science, Marxism is a science, it's structured in a way where it's taking evidence just like a biologist or a chemist or a physicist would need to have in order to draw out their hypothesis. Sorry if that was all over the place. Like I said, my notes exploded.
That was a great response. Hi, Larry. How you doing today?
Terrible.
Okay, thanks for being honest. So, I would like it if you would explain or give us examples of some known or little known contradictions within dialectical materialism within Marxist-Leninist groups or outside of it. Is that a great way to phrase a question? I don't know, but that's the question.
Yes. Well, for one thing, there are some Marxists who question whether the application of this lens is actually what Marx intended. He never used the term. So there's that.
What's your thought on that?
What's that?
What's your thought on it? Like, where do you think they're...
My thought on it is Engels elaborated more, especially in theses on Feuerbach on this. And it's pretty clear that while Marx didn't use the term himself explicitly, that doesn't mean that it isn't essentially what he was getting at. For example, when Engels wrote on it, Marx never bothered to correct him. So obviously he didn't have a contradiction with that. But yeah, there's some postmodernists that reject dialectical materialism as being applicable to anything other than processes of thought, and rather not the real world, which is itself a anti-materialist perspective, though they claim to be materialists. So
Yeah. Okay, good to know.
give me a second.
That's fine. Hey, Cruz, what's up? It's your turn, my friend. I'd like you to talk about why you think it works. Why do you think dialectical materialism works?
So, the best way to put it is nature is inherently dialectic. dialectical materialism is nature. Nature is constantly changing, and there's a common saying that I've heard where it's why are tankies always right, right? Why are Marxists always end up right? And it's not our fault that nature is and reality is materialistic, is dialectic.
Right.
So yeah, it works. Like that's the reality of it. Reality is Marxist, and therefore Marxist dialectics work.
To touch on that at the end of this interview, at the end of the show, we're gonna go over some books for people who are new to dialectical materialism. So stay tuned to the end. But can you give some examples of Marxist groups being infiltrated by the government?
So one of the best known examples with COINTELPRO, and specifically about a group that we're going to talk about later on in a separate episode, is with the Black Panther Party. And while not related directly to like the discussion of dialectical materialism,
right,
it represents that inherent contradiction, right? So as the Black Panther Party was rising up, the powers that be reacted by infiltrating. I can't remember the guy's name that actually infiltrated the Chicago branch of the Black Panther Party. But the bourgeois class is not going to give up power, because within their nature as maintaining the status quo and actually having the power as it is, they're not just going to let some group come up and usurp them, right? Just as with feudal societies didn't just let the bourgeois class take power. Slave societies didn't exactly they dissolved into feudal setup, but they weren't like, let's let the feudal lords take power. That sounds right. Like that's just not how it works. That's not how nature works.
Were you talking about William O'Neill, by the way?
Yeah.
That informant.
This as a very specific example of an FBI correspondent infiltrating agents, and
it sort of leads into my next question,
leading to the dissolvement and assassination of its leaders.
Yeah, it sort of leads into my next question, which was examples of groups that effectively applied dialectical materialism.
So within the U.S., we'd say the Black Panther Party, and internationally, the obvious example would be the Bolsheviks.
You want to elaborate on it for people who aren't aware of the Bolsheviks?
So with Bolshevism, specifically with Lenin and Stalin, they really further defined what was meant by dialectical materialism and established that dialectical materialism was the position of the Marxist-Leninist parties. Chairman Mao and the People's Revolutionaries and Ho Chi Minh, Kim Il-sung, and just various other groups and people around the world. Anytime they applied dialectical materialism or adhered to Marxism, Leninism, those are prime examples. And obviously that's a lot of information to go into.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, basically the purpose of this live for people that are requesting, it's not a debate live, it's an educational live. So it's for people, within the spectrum of communism that are attempting to learn, and some people that are leftists and not communists yet that are curious about different topics related to communism. What'd you say, Bruce?
Someone just tried to call me and it disrupted everything. I said someone in the comments just now said Sankara, so that's another fun.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I have this question for you, Larry. So if you can't answer it, literally anybody on the panel can jump in, because I know you're on TikTok, but you're not up in these crazy debate lives all the time. But what would you say are some common? You're there, right, Larry?
I'm here.
What would you say are some common misinformation you see being spread in the context of TikTok education or lack thereof with regards to dialectical materialism?
On TikTok, I'm not
Yeah.
aware of any specific instances.
That's cool. Anybody else want to jump in on this one? Because I know you guys are walking the roads more.
Yeah, just generally speaking, I'm sure I could come up with a few instances, but then oh no, I have one. I was gonna say I didn't want to say it because like drama, but I mean it actually makes a lot of sense. So like, in our circles, like people, so like why do a lot of us like why do we respond to a lot of patriotic socialists? Why do we, stitch videos, make drama, whatever? That is a pretty classic example of not thinking dialectically or materially. So, like when the Padsocks, you know who they are, when they start talking about building a communist revolution and a society without doing, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing it. Without intersectionality, you are planting the seeds for continuous balkanization and building a white ethnic state. So if you are not considering and looking at how intersectionality can answer the question as to why certain groups of people are in the proletariat they are, or are in the left proletariat that they are, then you are basically sending forth a calamity in the future. So in this case, it's not so much that like a lack of dialectical materialist thought is like not producing a result. It's actually producing a result that will be extremely negative for our movement.
Makes sense to me. Do you guys want to talk? And this is a little bit more vague than like a book recommend, but do you guys have any pieces of theory that come to mind when we discuss this that point to historically how the not using dialectical materialism has caused damage in understanding the material conditions? Does that make sense? I can rephrase the question if need be. I mean, I always think of like utopianism. Any of you can answer this.
I would say like I'm not thinking of like I don't have like theory that comes to mind. TD might be able to help me when he knows what I'm
That's
talking
okay
about.
if you don't.
But what comes to my mind is like when I've encountered critics of like Bolsheviks or communism, Marxism, whatever. When it comes to I don't know. I want to say the Kautsky Rebellion, but I know Kautsky was a different person, and I know that this is not. I think it's Kernstadt. Um, but anyway, it was one of the you say it, Judy.
It's
Um,
Kronstadt.
Kronstadt. So when the Kronstadt Rebellion occurred, which was a rebellion that took place during the sort of the ending period of the Russian Civil War, where sailors primarily from the Ukraine rebelled after seeing their families who were peasants being put in not the best conditions. That rebellion obviously had to be put down by the Red Army. So when I've encountered critics of the Bolsheviks, they often cite this instance as sort of like well, why did if the communists love freedom and democracy, why did they put down a rebellion? Well, if you're not looking at things historically dialectically, regardless if we think it's right or wrong, you have to look at what was happening. They were in a civil war, and another rebellion had just started. Anybody of any nation, any ideology is going to put down a rebellion. That's just how nations work. In essence, it's kind of how nature, at least in this moment, works, because you're never going to have a scenario where a rebellion happens and the leaders of a country are just kind of like, all right, we'll let it be, like it. Nothing is as black and white as you think it is.
Does anybody want to add to that?
I was going to say, and inherently, if you don't put down, like if you take power and you don't put down a rebellion, then the entire project of what you're doing is going to disappear. So, like, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, Kronstadt specifically was like.
Go ahead.
Kronstadt, yeah, you go, because I thought you were done, bro. My bad.
That was the end. That was the end of what I was saying. I was just adding on to Ivan.
Because like Kronstadt specifically, it's not like they were trying to do like their own like little rebellion or something. Like their goal was to literally overthrow the Republic, which like hundreds of thousands, millions of people had died to establish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like,
obviously they're not
why
going
didn't
to
the
be like,
Soviets
yeah,
let
you
that
know what,
happen?
you do whatever you want, man.
All right, so I'm thinking on the fly here. We can go over theory books if you guys want to do suggestions, and then if you guys are all in agreement, if you're not, you can always drop down. That's fine. We have like 20 minutes, so if you guys want to do questions, we can do that. But if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it my way, which is that people aren't gonna come up here just being wild. I will literally drop you or block you. I have no problem doing that. So I'd like to keep it on topic. Are you guys down with that? What do you guys want to do?
I'm cool with that.
I'm fine with
I know you got stuff going on, Larry, so if you want to drop, you can. It's up to you. Yes. But before you go, can you...
I think my coughing fit is subsided for a moment.
Okay. You guys want to drop, like in order of Judy, Larry, Cruz, and Ivan, a theory book that you think is important for people that are trying to understand dialectical materialism within its origins, and please no repeats. Cutie, you're up.
Get me and come back.
Okay. Larry.
Historical, materialism.
I would read into both Engels, Anti-Düring, and theses on Feuerbach.
I don't remember the order, so I'm just going to start talking. But when I was researching, I found Dialectical Materialism by A. Sprickin. He was a psychologist in the USSR in the 50s and 70s. I've only read a little bit so far. I think it's pretty interesting. Full disclaimer, because I have not read it cover to cover, but just from like the intro on the first few pages alone, he goes into how dialectical materialism is the Communist Party, and I think it goes a lot more in depth than what we were discussing.
Larry, Cutie. Wait, Larry already said it. Cruz, Cutie. Sorry.
I was going to say, a classic simple one. I was holding it up. Dialectical and Historical Materialism, Joseph Stalin. It's 30 pages, not even 30 pages long. Super quick. And breaks it down pretty well.
Thank you. Cutie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, bro. That's really what I would say is the one by Stalin. I mean, I could, whip something out of my tuchus here. I mean, Utopian is a pretty really basic ass description.
Yeah.
Socialism, Utopian, and Scientific by Engels.
Could you cut out a little bit so everyone can hear?
Yeah, I could bring up, my boy Bukharin, but I'm not going to, because I haven't read any of his on that. And Lenin did say he wasn't good at that. But I was saying, Socialism, Utopian, and Scientific by Engels, just because it's mad basic.
So, if anybody wants to request in the guest box, you're welcome to. I'm just going to let you guys choose who you want to come up first. I don't know. Yes, for a minute. Really, you are a summoner of the wind, and I feel bad for that, because it's extremely loud. It's not your fault, Judy. I don't know what's going on, but...
You'll be alright. I saw earlier, Guillotine had a question. If you have a question, you can request that.
Yeah.
That's who I was
request that. I'm not going to let people yell at you. No one's going to yell at you here.
I make no promises.
That's true. Larry's beyond the law of collective.
We'll just kick Larry. It's fine.
He's not technically a camp counselor. He just kind of like oversees everything. Nobody? Nothing? I mean, Midwestern, you got a lot to say, so I feel like maybe you should request.
Yeah, on contradiction by mile, I would also suggest specifically to get a really good, less wordy example than you'll probably get.
Okay, well, just so you know, did you see what Mayo just asked?
Yeah, he's looking for it right now.
Yeah, you can do it. That's fine. The rest of you, if you have questions for people, follow everybody in the panel and ask.
Yeah, preferably questions about dialectical materialism, and that is what this episode is about.
We have a Mr. K that wants to join.
Mr. K.
Yeah, that sounds sketchy, but I don't know who they are. We're friends somehow. Doesn't mean I know.
Let them up. Let's see what happens.
Before you speak, Mr. K, you're loading. Do you agree to the terms and conditions of this live?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So, I am a communist. Not maybe as well read as some of the people on the panel, but there is a example of repression coming from our government in a book called Hammer and Hoe.
Give me a second for a second. Okay, hold on. Can you guys mute so that the audio's not?
Yep.
Okay.
Go on.
Oh, I do apologize. I just got out of the gym, so I'm kind of like out of breath a little bit. But no, Hammer and Hoe is a really good read about what happened in the in Alabama to the communist movement that was in Alabama. And it is just a great story because I know you guys were talking about the Black Panther Party, and that's a really good example. This is just another less well-known example.
Does anybody have anything to say in response to that?
That's neat.
Yeah. What? How does this? How would you say that this shows dialectics in action?
You're muted, just so you know.
Sure. Yep. Sorry, I was off the app. I was actually getting the author of that book. Robin D.G. Kelly is the name and the author there. But as it's showing dialectical materialism in action, it shows what the communist movement in Alabama was going through and the situations that they were having to deal with and all of the repression that they were experiencing from the government and all of that hardship that comes with it. So I do believe that is a form of material dialecticism from that perspective, right?
So two opposing forces, the working class and the bourgeois class coming in contradiction. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
But it is from the perspective of the communist class, the communist working class group there. Like I said, absolutely fantastic read about more communist movements in the United States specifically.
All right, thanks. Is that it?
Oh, that was it. Yeah, absolutely. I love the topic, and I'm just here to learn, really, and I just wanted to spread out that a little bit of information just in case anyone hadn't have heard of that.
All right. I'm going to drop you down. Have a good day, Mr. K.
Absolutely. You as well.
Let me see what's popping in the guest request. Comrade Naughty, are you still down? I see you requested. Type in the chat if you are.
I want to go back.
Go ahead, Cruz. Go ahead and read what you were going to read. Naughty.
I just wanted to make sure it's Mayoist. Are you talking about the Engels quote? in there. I don't know if I want to make sure I'm reading what he actually wants me to read. You know.
He says yes. Hit
Okay.
it.
Passing to chemistry, Engels continues. Chemistry may be called the science of the qualitative changes which take place in bodies as the effect of changes of quantitative composition. His was already known to Hegel. Take oxygen. If the molecule contains 3 atoms instead of the customary 2, we get ozone, a body definitely distinct in odor and reaction from ordinary oxygen. And what shall we say of different proportions in which oxygen combines with nitrogen or sulfur, and each of which produces a body qualitatively different from all other bodies? Is that the section you want? Or did you want me to keep going? I'll read the whole thing if you want me to.
That's true. We only have like 15 minutes though, but
Can I read 30 pages in 15 minutes?
try. You try. No, Naughty wanted to come up. So do you have a question, Naughty, or let's see. Let's just see. I think they're still in here. Let's see. Before we start, Naughty, do you agree to the terms and conditions? Wait, wrong person. Not
Yep,
you.
wrong person.
You're out. Sorry. There we go.
Yep,
I'm
Ron.
dead, bro.
I keep hitting the wrong person. What is going on right now?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I got fat
You got the wrong
fingers.
person again, dog.
All right.
See, the lack of historical material and dialectical analysis here.
All right, Naughty. Do you agree to the terms and conditions? Okay, cool.
I do.
Hit it. Go.
So, my question is, when I first started learning dialectics, I thought it would be a good exercise for myself to try to apply the rules of dialectical materialism and the theory, not only in the realm of history and politics, but in other aspects of life. Like earlier, you guys were talking about Lenin's quote on chemistry and applying dialectical analysis to that. So the question is, I would like everyone in the panel, as an exercise, to choose one aspect of life, could be a subject or whatever, and try to find a relationship there, like a dialectical relationship, something that relates to dialectical materialism. Like for myself, I saw there was a really strong connection with relationships, especially relationships that are between an abuser and an abusee, just like the relationship between the bourgeoisie and the proletarian. There's a lot of similarities in like interpersonal relationships, right? Um, like sometimes when you're dealing with like a narcissistic person, there are elements of exploitation. Obviously, the bourgeoisie exploits the proletariat. Um, Gaslighting, thinking that you cannot possibly survive, and in the case of politics, own production on your own without the bourgeoisie, or in the case of an abuser, live without them, free and peaceful. And yeah, that's the question.
That's a challenge question. Can you mute?
All
Thank you.
right.
Go on, Ivan.
It's funny you brought up relationships because I was actually going to say something very similar, but maybe not nearly as well spoken as you. I was going to say, yeah. So if you're a bum ass neckbeard, people probably aren't going to like you. That is a dialectical relationship. If you are like a weirdo and you don't critically analyze yourself, how you come off, how you speak to people, how you maybe look, how you present yourself, um, other people might not like you, and that is the contradictory force right there. But you can't be idealist and just think that like a narcissist and be like, well, it's everyone else's fault but me. So you take that a step further, like you're saying, in terms of relationships. You know what? I'm moving my hands a lot, and I realize my camera's not even on. When you take a step further and you start talking about relationships, how does an abuser end up being an abuser? Usually, it's because of a history of abuse and conditions that they have been put through on their own. But I guess sort of like to answer your question from a different perspective. So like I'm in the medical field, so I hear this every day where people complain about short staffing, they complain about not enough pay, they complain about the conditions that like are existing within the hospital or whatever, and they can blame it every which way. But if you don't look at it from the lens that this is capitalism, the reason why we don't have staff is because the companies don't want to pay for it. The reason why we treat patients like shit is because the company doesn't incentivize actual patient care, they incentivize profit. If you don't look at those things through dialectics and you're simply thinking idealistically, like, oh, well, maybe if we just work harder, the company will recognize us and give us more stuff. It doesn't work that way. It's all based in materials. And what is the reality? The reality is the company wants to make money and hold on to the money. It's just my little example.
I think it's a good example. I'm gonna jump onto something that you said at the beginning, and the reason I'm going to is because I see it applied a lot within like sort of our circles of like the TikTok, Discord, propagandist circles, and it seems like a lot of people. I was just talking about this earlier. Like you can read all the theory in the world, but if you can't actually integrate and apply the knowledge, it's somewhat useless because you're not able to apply it to yourself. And your lack of introspection will make you unable to communicate that effectively with others because nobody wants to listen to you because you're obnoxious as hell. So I think that, it leads right back into being principled, right? But I think that's an important point that you made, Evan. Does anybody else want to respond to this question?
I do. So the entire concept of dialectics, right, is putting an emphasis on processes and relations. So if you want to look at your relationship with your partner, you have at the beginning of a relationship inherent contradictions that may or may not be antagonistic. So say you and your partner have relations between each other where you have a contradiction. This may be on where you want to live, how one makes their living, etc. So on. You have arguments, etc., etc. So it's the process of these contradictions and their resolving the unity of opposites is where that will determine the outcome of this relationship. It may form into the unity of opposites may result in that relationship taking a step further and continuing, and then further contradictions will develop, or these contradictions may result in a series of actions which dissolve the relationship, depending on the processes and relations inherent to it. So that's if you want to take it out of the economic sphere and you want to take it to the personal sphere, that's how you can apply dialectics to basically any relationship, any real world system.
Cutie? Cruz? That was a great answer, Larry. Thank you.
I was actually going to bring up, the contradiction between Cruz's background noise earlier and me speaking, resulting in a synthesis of you guys not hearing me at all.
That's true. You want to elaborate on it, or we're going to leave it there?
The solution to that was for me to mute my mic.
Thank you for that question, Naughty. Is it Comrade Naughty? Did they freeze? Or they just messing?
Bro froze, which is the main contradiction.
Well, I want to say thank you for because I can't. Oh wait. Yeah, maybe it's just low connection, but thank you for that question because I think it's an important question.
Somebody get them in the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, big dog.
I'm glad I called you. There must be a reason.
Yeah, so
Go on.
yeah, I don't know. My connection's about to die.
That's all right. Thank you for coming up. Have a good day.
Join our Discord. Follow us.
No problem.
Yeah, join our Discord. You can DM me. I'll send you an invite.
I would like to add more. Yeah, I would like to
okay.
add more, but I think I'm gonna get kicked out. Oh, okay. I think it's good now. But one last thing I want to say, with Larry, okay, Lenin, he said dialectics is the study of contradictions in the very essence of things. Like a good practice is to, and whether it be sports, weightlifting, relationships, or whatever, try to find the contradictions in those, and think about what Lenin said. What causes a revolution? Um, when things become impossible to live in the old way, when contradictions build up to a point where things just break and they have to progress. You could apply that to, force. Someone throwing a punch, and the contradiction between a stationary object and a punch going at someone's face, and the face just breaks. Or like relationships, right? Someone wants to live one place, someone wants to live another place, and it kind of bubbles up over time, and then you guys break up. Or the relationship between different social classes resulting in a violent revolution. So that's what I would like to add.
Okay. Does anyone want to respond to that?
Okay. Nothing to add. I love it.
All right. It was good to meet you, Naughty. I already know all you knuckleheads. Thank you for coming as usual and informing people. And thank you to everybody who's new or existing campers at re-education. Sorry, historical echo for just dropping you like that, but I was going in order, so. Everybody have a good day. Thank you for coming.
Later, nerds.
All right, bye. Have a good day.